the larch, Larix larcinia. That's correct. Also known as the tamarack in America, or eastern larch if you are in Europe. Sometimes you might know about that. It's a very beautiful tree for bonsai. Very good. You'll notice here. You'll notice in a lot of my videos I'll probably have suiseki next to the tree. Most of the suiseki you'll see are actually made by me. This one I made. But you're not here to learn about suiseki, you're here for bonsai. So, start with bonsai. Just gonna let you know that I was about, 3/4 of the way through. You wanna know what happened? I've already done this video. I touched the computer and it erased it. So, if you ever see my first video, you'll see that, didn't go so well in movie editing department. I, touched a button and there was a border over my face. So, I'm just not gonna touch the computer until I know I'm ready to stop it. Okay, ready? Start again. Larch. Tamarack. East. Larch. This. Okay. So in 2 through 7. So this tree is ridiculously zone hardy. It's very, very cold tolerant. It will. They can grow inside the Arctic Circle sometimes, just barely inside in some situations, which is very impressive because I wouldn't want to live there. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful place. So much sunlight off the snow reflecting into your eyeballs. Next, these trees will grow 50 to 70 feet tall when not bonsai'd. Now, this tree has anger issues. It has a Napoleon complex because I think it's realized that it wants to be 70 feet tall. It should be 70 feet tall. I mean, who wouldn't want to be 70 feet tall? No, I had to go and make this tree 18 inches. Scratch that. About 24 inches tall. Very, very sad day for it. Life. Very, very sad life. I should say that. But it's taken care of. So these trees will grow in, they grow in bogs. My finger's on screen. There we go. So these trees will grow in, still can't do it. Trees will grow in bogs, they will grow on mountains, and they will grow in tundra-like conditions. They're seen more in Vermont in bogs. Conifer bogs usually, where they're kept wet and they can't get root rot because of the bacteria and the acidity in the soil. Where they are, but you will have dead patches sometimes where road work has prevented water movement from getting them properly, and the water will become stagnant and kill them. Being focused, let's talk about the bark. So the bark on these trees is very beautiful. It's very flaky. It's a lot of foam for half an inch of soda. It's very flaky, so it will it'll develop over time. It takes years to develop. If you have a tree with flaky bark, try not to touch it, because if it breaks off, it takes forever to grow back. And as always, got this handy day paper right here. This is why I keep looking down. Any false claims made by me or false information that I present are things that I would love to get feedback on. So I do not spread any false information, because spreading false information is lame. Don't do it. Gotta get this opposite thing down. It's messing me up. Okay. Number 2, foliage. Tree is a deciduous conifer. It is confused. It's not sure whether it wants to be a deciduous tree. Deciduous tree, which is they're very beautiful trees. They have beautiful foliage and everybody appreciates them. They're the popular trees, right? Or if it wants to be one of the smart, wise, ancient conifers. So it's not this point in its life where it's like deciding. By life I mean evolution. Probably stay a conifer. Probably always be a conifer. Even if it developed leaves, still had cones, technically be a conifer. Off this random subject. No, Mr. Computer, that is not what you do. You do not go to sleep when I am talking. That is bad. Spring, summer, fall colors. Now, these trees have a very large array of colors. In the spring, okay, they pop bud, and they have this almost fluorescent green, which is very beautiful. Summer, also very beautiful. This is the end of summer colors, right? So, dark green, weathered by the weather. Who would imagine? And healthy, taking in sunlight, doing stuff. You have the fall color, which is a nice yellow color, and I have absolutely nothing, so I just look like I'm looking around for no reason. So the excuse me. Pardon me. The fall colors are very beautiful. The needles drop, and you end up with this bare skeleton of a tree, kind of like you do with deciduous trees. But it's pretty cool because it's a conifer. You don't see it a lot. You don't really see the branch work behind a conifer. So that's why I like these trees so much. Is you get to see this in the winter, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that. This, if I think about it, this pine kind of does have this sort of structure. If you were to strip all its needles, which would be a terrible idea. Do not do that because I mentioned it. Okay. Next. How to maintain small foliage. So, problems people have with this tree sometimes is the foliage will get too large. And that happens if the tree has large amounts of water. So if it has soil that holds a lot of water, or if you're watering it often. My trees I only water in the morning. So if they're dry by the end of the day, I just leave them. They'll survive the night. This computer, they'll survive the night. And when I water them in the morning, I water them twice to make sure that the bonsai soil doesn't use surface tension to just run the water out. So they do get watered. If it rains, I don't water them again. Because of this tree has pretty small needles. They're not that big. So, pretty small. I've seen trees with needles this big when they're planted in like group plantings that are supposed to be for a bog. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought I noticed something that wasn't there. Sunlight exposure also. So if you keep this tree on the drier side, so don't keep it. You can keep it wet. I mean, it'll take it, but if you keep it on the like the average side and give it a lot of sunlight, that's how you get really small needles. So extremely intense sunlight. This is a conifer, so it likes sunlight. So at least 6 hours of direct sunlight a day. You can take western sunlight too. You might get a little. I don't think you'll even get leaf burn with this. It can take it, I think. Roots. Vermont accent. Roots. Mycorrhizal fungi are a fungus that these trees need in order to survive. So, the tree supplies the fungus with carbon-based sugars, okay? And in return, the fungus supplies the tree with nutrients by breaking down the nutrients in the soil and passing it on along to the tree. If you've ever dug up a pine tree or repotted a pine bonsai, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's this weird mold growing, right? Leave that. That's actually really good. That's how the tree stays alive. If anything, if you're doing root pruning, like, and you cut off some of that mold, stick it in the pot. It'll help culture some more. I don't think I'm using proper words right now. So the roots of the tree can also adapt. Like I said, it can take really dry conditions, it can take really wet conditions, it can take middle, it can take a large variety of acidities or alkaline soil. Not alkaline, it can take a very large range of like slightly acidic to fairly acidic soil, in all within reason, of course. Don't want to put it in water with hydrochloric acid or anything like that. That would not go well. Bogs versus mountain soil. Mountain soil is, of course, going to be, well, depending on what kind of mountains you have. So in Vermont, the mountains are still very wet. There's a lot of tree cover. A lot of mountains that these will live on will be like that, but some will also be dry, very sandy, rocky soil. They like that. They also like living in bogs with peat moss. So, You can make your decision. If it's a very large tree, a very large larch, you can put it in like soil that holds more water, because the needle size won't really be a huge problem for you. But this is my forearm compared to it, so it's not that huge of a tree. So having small needles is good to keep it down to scale. These trees don't like being root pruned. So when you do root pruning, just be careful. Don't remove more than 10-20% of the tree's roots when you do this, okay? Sometimes even just combing out the roots might be enough damage to get them to form fine hair roots. Okay. Okay. Forgot where I was on the list. Ah, here we are. So, branch and shoot development. Branch pads actually develop very quickly on this tree. In a matter of years, like 5 years, you can get a pretty decent branch pad, which is pretty fast. It's because these trees sound a bud, buds, right? Winter hardens. It's gonna make a branch everywhere there's a bud. That's what this tree does. It wants to send out shoots everywhere. And this is just how this tree works. And because of that, it grows very quickly. But also, if you keep it down tame, this tree will form very, very dense, beautiful foliage pads very quickly. So it's very good for bonsai for this reason. How to pinch and prune. So this is where, this is exactly where my video failed last time. So I'm gonna, I'm just gonna do this right now. I'm gonna actually bring it to you. So here's my tree, right? Bring it closer, right? So if you see, there are, if I can get it close enough to you, you'll see that there are little swirls, right? So right here, right, there's a shoot here. So normally, in July, you have some pretty decent amount of shoots. And I let them grow and grow and grow to a ridiculous point where you're like, this tree doesn't even look like a bonsai anymore. And then you cut them all off. And then it has all this energy. It's stuck in the trunk, right? Disperse out, okay? So I already did that, right? And now this is making buds, right? So I don't really want to disrupt that process. So my plan is to leave these little shoots that are out of line here, and just cut them in the spring before it opens shoots. Now you'll notice that down here, on the lowest branch, it has a lot of shoots. That's because the second branch is actually thicker than the lowest branch. So this is a problem. So what I'm doing is I'm letting it grow out this year, right? And then I'm going to cut it back a little bit. So the more foliage you have on a branch, the faster it quickens. The quicker it thickens. So the lowest branch I do want to have to be more majestic. To get some good foliage pads. Larger foliage pad on it, draw your eye more to it, and complete the triangular shape that is kind of there. That to make it more. Ooh, Mr. Tree, thought you were dry, but you're actually leaking all over my stuff. Bad. Okay. Next, let's just move on. I'm sorry. So, when you're pruning a shoot, right, you don't cut it with scissors. You grab where the spiral is, and then you grab the shoot, and you just break it off, right at the spiral. And that'll send all the energy back in, and that'll get it to make buds right around that spiral. It's a very good method to get very thick branches. Not thick branches, very thick, luscious foliage pads. This is me, I'm using words like luscious. Makes bonsai sound fancy, doesn't it? Okay. Flexibility of the branch. Where it's weak. So these trees are pretty flexible. There is a weak spot, though. So say this is the main branch, right? And my thumb, right? This is an offshoot, right? You can bend my thumb. I'm not going to bend it this way. I'm going to bend it this way. I can bend my thumb, right? Right here, though, where it connects, is weak. You want to be careful when you're bending these trees. Sometimes I've broken little branches off before wiring it, just bending it and not paying attention enough, and it's made a split here and it's died. So you want to be careful with that and just bend it more on the branch and less where the joint is, because the joint is the joints are weak on this tree. As they are on most trees, but just in the pads becomes a problem for me. Pick these up. So it'll be mindful of that. Plucking the under needles. So this tree does grow needles in every direction. It'll even grow needles downwards. What you do is you do it with pines too. Is if there's downward facing needles, you just pluck them off. That way, all the energy is going up. All the needles are up. It's not wasting energy on like needles down here. So all the needles that you have are going to be obtaining energy. So that's what you do with that. That's how you do. This is how we do it. It also makes it look nicer. Makes it more of a cut branch, which is very nice. Not cut, but you know what I'm talking about. All the foliage going up is like a real old tree. Jeez, I can't talk today. Diseases and pests. This is a very long list, so I'm just gonna list them off. Things that affect this tree: larch sawfly, spruce budworm, spruce spider mite, spruce bud moth, larch shoot moth, several bark beetles, it's resistant to rust, susceptible to root rot, can be affected by sooty mold, and the spittlebug. Styles, okay? This tree does well in the following. That is reading off. It does well in the styles of formal upright. I think this is formal upright. Might be a little bit informal, but this is in between the two. So it does well formal upright, informal, slanted. Handed into this turn. Cascade, semi-cascade. Some people might say it's nice. Some people might not. I haven't really decided yet. Make your own decision. I wouldn't suggest it. I'm yet to see a tree that's grown like that. I mean, I've seen people grow them like that in bonsai, but I haven't really seen one hanging off a cliff yet. Maybe someday I will. They do work well in windswept, deadwood. So if you have a lot of deadwood on a tree, gin, shari, they do well with that. Root on rock. It's also known as root over rock. Forest plantings. Never, ever, ever try to do broom style with this tree. So terrible. I don't know why people would even think of this. Just doesn't look natural at all for this tree. Now that the paper's done bossing me around, I can talk. So, I'm going to take this off of the doily thingamajig, because it is, changing color because it's so wet. I'm just gonna move that. I need to dry that, and it's not put on top of the papers I need. So this tree is 25 years old. I got it from a man in New York whose name I cannot remember. He came to the Bonsai Center in Vermont and said I could choose one. So I chose this one. That was early this spring. I've styled it since then. I've pruned it. It did look a bit different then. Not entirely different, but a little bit. I just put it in a new pot with the help of Sandy, the owner of the Bonsai Center here in Vermont. So I put it in a new pot and pruned it. We wired it a little bit. And we got it looking like this. So that's this tree. Oh, by the way, it was saved. The guy said he found it on the side of the road as a seedling, and he dug it up and trained it for 20 years and decided to sell. He was selling 4 of them, or he was selling 3 of them, and he gave me 1. So it was very nice of him. I very greatly appreciate it. I actually gave him a huge hug. He looked very uncomfortable with me giving him a hug, but just gave me a 25-year-old tree, which is older than I am, so so bonsai, it's a suiseki. At some point, I'm hoping to start a suiseki business on Etsy, so I may bring that up in one of my videos at some point in the future. Thanks for watching. Peace out. You thought I was going with cricket, didn't you? Bet you